Hey, this is Heather from the Renaissance English History Podcast, and this is your Tudor Minute for July the 25th. Today, Mary Tudor married Philip of Spain. We talked about it last week when Philip first arrived. This wound up being a pretty sad marriage, and honestly, my heart truly goes out to Mary. She really fancied him based on his portrait, while Philip, who was 10 years younger than Mary, saw it more as his duty. Both monarchs agreed that the prime goal was to bring England back into the fold of Catholicism. When they were married, Mary was filled with hope and anticipation. She was 37. She'd come into her own power after years of being called a bastard and having to watch her family fall apart. And of course, she blamed Protestantism for that. And she thought that this was going to be her opportunity to have a family and, fulfill her dream of bringing England back into the Catholic fold, which, of course, it did not. However, the description of the marriage from contemporary chronicles is hopeful as well. Here is a description. First, the said church was richly hanged with arras and cloth of gold, and in the middle of the church, from the west door onto the rood, was a scaffold erected of timber. At the end was raised a mount covered with red, and underneath the rood loft were erected two traverses, one for the queen on the right hand, the other for the prince on the left, which places served very well for the purpose. The choir was also richly hanged with cloth of gold, and on each side of the altar were two other rich traverses, as aforesaid, for the Queen's Majesty and the Prince. On Wednesday, the 25th of July, being St. James's Day, the Prince, richly apparelled in cloth of gold, embroidered with a great company of the nobles of Spain, in such sort as the like hath not been seen, proceeded to the church and entered at the west door and passed to his traverse all the way on foot. Then came the Queen's Majesty, accompanied with a great number of the nobility of the realm, the sword being borne before her by the Earl of Derby, and a great company of ladies and gentlewomen, all very richly apparelled. Her Majesty's train was borne by the Marquess of Winchester, assisted by Sir John Gage, her Lord Chamberlain, and she proceeded to the church. After the ceremony, it says, this done, the trumpets sounded, and thus both returned hand in hand, the sword being borne before them to their traverses in the choir, the queen always going to the right, and there remained until mass was done. So all in all, a very promising wedding today. That's your Tudor Minute. Remember, you can dive deeper into life in 16th century England through the Renaissance English History Podcast at englandcast.com or this channel right here. Go ahead and hit subscribe and have yourself an amazing day.